Hello dear ones, it's Maria with you. Today is May 11th, 2022, and I'd like to talk to you about sources of information sources. For you that's new to my channel, I make videos in Portuguese, English, and Spanish, and the playlist for all my videos in English is in the description of this video. Let's go for a little summary. We were created by God, like Himself. We are part of God's consciousness. When we incarnate, only part of this consciousness comes to the body. The other part remain with God and share God's consciousness, share all God's knowledge. That's mean, and we call higher self. That's mean our higher self has the universal knowledge. And our higher self is always in contact with us, always try to guide us to the best next step towards our purpose here. How it does that? Through our emotional guidance system, our emotions and feelings. Your intuition is your direct connection to your higher self and to spirit. When I say spirit, I'm saying non-physical entities, non-physical energies. That include Jesus, God, angels, all sorts of non-physical beings. So, let's talk about information sources. We have, I separate them in two categories. One is the conventional, like the physical, let's call the physical, things that, information that was gathered, collected, based in our five senses. And that collection can be by listening to, by writing, you name it. And then you have all the distribution means, that books and speech, radio, TV, internet, you know all of that. But the one that some of you doesn't know is that's not the only way to receive information, to get access to information. There is an universal knowledge. Let's say, I think everybody already heard that phrase, God knows everything. And that's really true. God does know everything. But if you want a more technical, logical explanation for that is all thoughts that ever happen still exist. Everything that ever happened in the universe goes to the ether, goes to vibrational field and get collected. Okay, that's the interesting part. How to get access to that information? That information has information about absolutely everybody, absolutely everything. So it's very important that people that contact that information make a good use of that information. Because if that information will be just available to everyone, you know what is going to happen. People would be misleading that information, using to mislead people to do all sorts of bad things. So that's not the way it happened. Remember, I told in my previous video that when your vibration is starting on the fifth dimension, you remember that you are a thought in the mind of God. You remember that you are part of God's consciousness. You remember that you share God's consciousness. You remember that you can tap into God's consciousness, God's knowledge. So you are able to access that information. Higher you go in dimension, more access to information you have. So how information come to us? Let's just go back a little bit. I said I would split in two categories: the physical part and the non-physical part. The physical part, I think most of you are already familiar with. It's somebody that saw, heard, or had experience, or research, and then you name it, you have an idea how the physical information are collected. But how about the non-physical information? How we here on earth, in the body, can have access to that information through spirit. And that can happen many times, in many ways, not only through spirit, but higher other beings also. So the first one that happens to absolutely everybody is the intuition. We are constantly receiving messages in our mind with our own voice that most of the time we think that we are the one think. So we are constantly receiving those information. You can call that to download, small downloads, and depend on the vibration that you are, our table here, depend on the vibration you are, it's come from, if you are vibrating under 200, that's mean that information come from lower vibrational beings, and it's not really trustful. You don't really want to use that information. But if you are vibrating over 200, possibly you are receiving from high vibrational beings, from your higher self. And then if you pay attention to the information, you're going to realize it's good information that's good for you. So that's one way, through intuition. Through dreams, that's another way. And through mediumship, like channeling, like spiritual being come and then through your body, or just communicate with you in many different ways. So they're gonna tell you the information, because remember, if they are vibrating, starting the fifth dimension, they have the knowledge of everything, even not only the present, but past, present, and future. So you connect with them, they're gonna tell you. There are many books based on channeled material, and lots of videos in YouTube based on channel materials. And if that information comes from a high dimensional being vibrating over five dimension up, that information, if you pay attention to the information, you're going to be able to discern that information is true or not. You listen to and think, your guts will tell you if that information resonates with you or not. So it's always on you. So that's another way, through downloads. I'm sorry, not downloads, through mediumship. You're going to connect to spiritual beings, or you're going to connect even with ETs, extraterrestrial beings that contact you. So they're going to give information. They can depend on your psychic abilities. They show you images in your own mind. There is many ways to do that. Through telepathy, that's another way. But one thing that I find out that must amazed me was the downloads. What is a download? You are in meditation. Most of the time would happen in meditation, because when you are meditating, your mind are quiet. Your mind, imagine your mind like a bucket. If you are constantly putting thoughts on that bucket, it's overflowing, overflowing, overflowing. So it doesn't fit anything else. But when you are in meditation, you empty the bucket, and then they download the bucket of the information just come. They download and fill out the bucket. Imagine this way. But it doesn't need to be only through when you are meditating. Anytime that you are in the present moment, when you are in the present moment, you are also, your mind is free for the downloads. And then I was really amazed when I find out that you can know something just by being quiet and doing nothing. Can just come to your head. You don't have to read a book, you don't need to watch a video. That can happen. I wasn't really believing it until it started happening to me. So, and from where that information come? Well, you have your higher self. Your higher self is like the manager of your incarnation, let's put this way. So he knows when you are ready to receive some types of information, because he knows what type of information you need and what use of the information you're gonna do. So when you get those kinds of downloads, it's always for the highest good of all concerns. Because when you're vibrating the fifth dimension and up, there is no I. It's always we are all one. It's always we. We are all one. So your higher self is managing your incarnation, but it's always in benefit of the highest good of all concerns. So you are able to get those information, those downloads. And another very many people are already familiar with, when you do hypnosis or regressional therapies, that the person goes to a state of outer state of mind, they go in trance, and their ego mind step aside, and then the higher self take over, and the higher self is the one who decide what past life or what event they will decide to show to that subject that is under trance. And it's always to the highest good of all concern. It's always because that information will help that person at that moment. It's very important that we don't get overloaded with information that we are not able to process. Because when that happens, we get overloaded with fear. That's not good. And our higher self, everybody in the other side that's vibrating over 500, over 5 dimension, they know if an information will cause us fear. Our worst enemy here in this incarnation is fear, that false evidence appearing real. If they are in the 5th dimension, they will never give you an information that will cause you fear, unless you are ready to overcome that fear and get to a better place. So Dolores Cannon's book. It's the information she gathered was from her sessions, hypnosis sessions, and it came from the non-physical. And throughout her researches, she proved that many of the information that she was getting was validated. But for me, the information when I was reading her books, I believe it because it's resonated with me. And many things I understood and I brought into my awareness, and many other sources, also non-physical, that I saw in videos and in other books, would talk about the same information that she was talking in a different way, but basically they were talking about the same thing. Different sources that never saw each other talking about the same thing, giving the same description about things. And then throughout the last 5 years, but I really started like 17 years ago, and then I started to link the dots to answer those questions that I put in my previous videos. What is God? Who am I? Where I came from? What I'm doing here? That's my search. I'm searching for the answer of those questions. And I started throughout all those things that I'm researching, that I'm listening, that I'm reading, I started to link the dots and things started to make sense. And I was validating many information that was linking the dots, was getting validated through different sources. And then I was able to get a very good picture. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm so far, I'm very far away from that. But right now, I feel like in a very good start point to really start to find out the truths. And I've been called to share what I've learned with you guys, because the information that I got helped me tremendously, especially throughout the last 2 years. And if it's helped me, I think it can help you too. So I've been called to share. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm explaining about the non-physical source of information because most of my videos are based on that. And sounds true to me, resonate with me. You may believe or don't believe, that's for you to decide. Because your mind, you manage your own mind. You decide what you want to believe or not. That's your free will. So next week I'm gonna make some videos about the Earth's evolution. I was able to put together the picture of the creation of Earth until the next golden age. And I will pinpoint the main periods when important things happen, at least based on everything that I studied. And many of those points were validated through different sources. So stay tuned. If you enjoy my videos, please share, and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching my video, and see you in my next video.